2020 new products. So you're probably aware of a bunch of new series presenting 2020, and that's my focus today is on VIO C, the VIO cluster series, the DVA Mini G2, and the LVX P5, the little mighty passive box. So I know you maybe have heard some of this, so I'm not gonna go too much into technical details, but I'm just trying to keep you all the perks and culprits of the new stuff and something that we produced during this quarantine days, some nice, interesting ideas that we try to give you, some inspiration we try to pass on you guys regarding where you can actually install the products, and some case scenarios like this as follows. So VIO C, as you probably know, is comprised of 3 different models. It's a 12, a 15, and even a big dual 12. We use the same components from the line arrays from the VIO family, and we actually try to use also the same waveguides. So we take all of the technology of waveguides right into the boxes. We just flip them 90 degrees horizontally. So in this case, these boxes really look like line arrays flipped vertically. So let's try to dig into this product a little bit more. So let's take the 12-inch just, and let's try to have a look on the top view of this speaker. So as you can see, the horizontal pattern is 22.5 degrees only. So it's fairly small for an horizontal or dispersion of a typical point source system. Of course, this is on purpose, and that is making the system so flexible for a number of different applications. So just to be more precise, if we take a second box and we pair side by side, that makes a 45 degrees horizontal dispersion. To get the same angle with line arrays, which are typically 8 to 10 to maximum 15 degrees in the vertical axis, then it will take you 3 or 4 boxes. So we can start to see the advantages right through this presentation right now. Take 3 of them, make 70 almost. We take 4 of them and we make 90. So let's now try to have a look on the horizontal pattern of this box. And what you would expect from a point source would be something like that. So something symmetrical, a speaker that actually gives you the possibility to be covering the same area from both upwise and downwise in comparison to the axis of the box. But that is not the case. If you are familiar with Ingenia, actually, this is what VIO C will look like. Very similar to the Ingenia vertical dispersion. It is asymmetrical and is also smaller. So we're talking about, instead of the classic 60 degrees vertical, we can go down to 45 degrees or 55, depending on the model. And also, so we can project more energy, squeeze it down, and get more output in less surface, which is translating in a better pattern control. So now my slides are frozen, but here we go. So let's try to build an array of boxes. As well as any module of line array, you cannot think of VOX as being a standalone box. There's no way you can fly one box or stack one box and expect it to make any sense in this kind of scenarios, or any scenarios so far. So just take 3 of them. As you can see, with this kind of dispersion, there's just a little energy projected towards the upper side of this box. That makes it so easy for a second stack of rows to just go flip upside down and go in a head stack mode. And that is when you actually start the magic to happen. So when you have this kind of configuration, regardless if you have just 2 and 2, 3 or 3, 4 or 4, whatever is the number, as long as you double up the number and you pair them in head stack mode, you will have a very unique features called vertical beam steering or digital steering. So you can easily, with the touch of a button, just project the energy upwards or downwards. This transition is very smooth. We try to take the best out of our knowledge from Ingenia and other products where the vertical beam steering is used, including ES series, and just to perfect it in our top league flagship point source system, which is VIO C. So that means that we can have a lot of different applications, and I'm gonna run through this a little later. So one more case that I really want you to know about, it's the vertical array mode. Vertical array mode is when you actually pretend this system to be used as a line array. There's nothing wrong about it. It's a proper system with waveguides on board and compression drivers and pristine quality components. So there's nothing wrong about it. It's actually a big advantages in some applications. So the great thing about VIO C is being asymmetrical. When you fly this in this direction, you do not have a consistent horizontal dispersion in both sides, so it's not symmetrical. But that makes a great solution maker for installs, thinking about when you want to avoid side reflections and so on. And this flybar can be mounted either way on the top end or the bottom end, so you can just flip the boxes 180 degrees and decide where you want the focus just to go. And this configuration, though, is only available for C12s and the C15s. The big guy, the dual 12, is not possible in this configuration. But the great thing is this accessory actually is one size fits all. So you can fly either the 12 or the 15. You can fly one, not one, but you can fly 2, 3, or 4 boxes in a row with the same bumper. So the system comes with a rainproof rain cover, which is removable, and behind the curtain, there's the new DG Pro G4 Class D amplification system, and just have a closer look at it. You might see this a little bit familiar if you had a look at maybe the dual 12 systems and on the line array series of the VIO. That is very, very similar, but it's also looking like Ingenia. So we try to get the best of both worlds and put them together in one piece. So we have the ease of use of Ingenia with the organic LED display just on the back, showing all the features with the user selectable button where you can change every parameter, DSP, you can change delay, EQ, and so on, even the digital steering from here. And you also have the professional RDNet expandable card that can be in the future replaced with future audio over IP protocols or different control system from our factory, which translates in a future-proof product at the end of the line. And also this product is unique since it can be controlled by infrared sensors. Again, we took the technology from Ingenia and we made this system self-aware. So when you have a matrix of systems, they actually know the relative position within an array and they can automatically process. It's really cool. So let's have a look at the configuration. As you can imagine, there are dozens of possible configurations. We try to cut it down to some recommended ones. So let's start with what we think would be the most popular. It's definitely going to be a flown system. Probably is going to replace some L210 or L208 application, even L212, why not? So let's say the small line array or medium line arrays. And you can fly 2, 3, or 4 of them with dedicated brackets. And with the very same fly bars, you can double up and just go to the head stack mode. So in this case, you not only have one row, but you have 2 rows of boxes and get full advantage from the vertical beam steering functionality. Another configuration may be derived from the simple stack array, and stacking arrays on top of subwoofer. 3 of them fits perfectly on the top of S218 or S318 VIO subwoofer, which makes a great compact outdoors or indoor system. And the last example is again the vertical array. As you can notice, we flew these boxes in opposite directions. So we have one left-hand side where the horns are on the left-hand side, and the array on your right-hand side has the horn on the right-hand side, which means they are rejecting energy from the outer of this venue. I'm gonna put these guys into a house of worship so you can have a look at this. So it's 2, 3, or 4 boxes. Last but not least, even if we do not have specific flybars for more than 4 wide arrays, we can still go bigger. This is just an example of a hybrid array where you can use 2 times the 4 wide stacks. And the only thing you really have to keep in mind, these systems are gonna be needed to be flown at the very same time. So you need synchronized chain hoists, or either you have to go directly from the very same bridle or trussing. So you want to go in the same moment, but this is not preventing you in any way not to go with bigger size systems like this. You can even double it up, and instead of having just 8, you can have 8 more on the bottom and just making a 16 wide, which is 180 degrees with more SPL. So very briefly going through accessories, link plugs resembles the ones from LPIGs, so the link plugs from Ingenia series. And as you can imagine, they are provided, so we actually include them into every box. So every box comes with one of them, and every flybar, in most of the cases, also comes with one of them. So you are not in need to buy any of them unless you lose them as a spare part. So we want to make sure that you guys, as long as you buy the dedicated flybar for this application, then you're gonna possess all of the accessories needed to fly them safely and completely. There's also a flybar to link the 3 of them, and there's also another link flybar to link the 4 of them. Also, the DRK CCA, constant curvature vertical array mod, allows you to fly up to 4 C12s or 4 C15 in either directions. So rain cover is also included in the box. And next up will be an animation on that Andrea Brasolin from our application team had a lot of fun producing during quarantine. And this is how we see a rigging session to go through step by step. So as you can see, no tools are required. You just use the DRK-C in between each and every one of the boxes. And then you add up with the link DRK-L3, which is the link for 3 boxes. Then you're ready to go with just single motor chain hoist point. This is something that makes VIO C stands out from the crowd of other products, similar products. It's not only the infrared port or the versatility, is the ease of rigging for this system, which is just unique. There's no other way to define this as unique. I find it very comfortable. It's very easy, and these boxes can go up in the air in minutes. Honestly, they go up in the air much, much quicker than comparable line array with comparable size. Okay. If you guys have any question, do not hesitate. You just start writing all of your questions. Probably you're already doing. I actually have too many screens to check it out, but I really want you guys to feel free to, and this is a safe space with it's family. We can just share our thoughts, our doubts, our questions, and I think it's useful for everyone to know the answer. So next product I want to present you is the DVA Mini G2. So DVA Mini G2 shares the same look of the older M2M, M2S DVA Mini generation. We totally got rid of the idea of a master slave, primary, secondary, whatever you want to call it. It's one box. It is comparable to other old hour line arrays, so it comes with one amplifier for each box. It is slightly, I think, 1.5 kilograms more. It's really about the same weight of the previous master module of the M2M, but it packs 5 dB more. We have brand new transducers with bigger voice coils. We have twice as much the power, and we have RDNet ports on board, which is great. So we are able to think about putting this system in serious installation, house of worship, conference rooms, and this is the answer that many were asking for. Since in this specific segment of the market, we do definitely have some competitors right here. So we are really trying to hit a similar price tag of the previous one, but I'm just a tech guy, so just go ahead with your sales guys regarding prices. But I have been told that is very similarly priced of the previous ones, and it comes in black and white. It has RDNet, he has FIR, he has weatherproofing connectors, twice as powerful, 5 dB louder. So it's a big important step up from the DVA Mini M2M and M2S concept. At the same time, we keep the ease of use of the Mini because we have the very same enclosure and the very same accessories base. So if you want to summarize in a chart, it's 400 watts versus 200 per one of the M2M modules. It has the same components, but in the new generation with bigger voice coils, but it's the same size. RDNet ports that were missing before, 131 dB SPL versus 126. It's a huge leap. and the Power Control EP65 as well as FIR filters with a brand new DSP, also with the optically isolated preamp board that I think some of the market that I'm actually addressing right now in this webinar, they would be happy to know that the new Mini will come with the optically isolated preamp board, which means that there's a galvanic isolation between interferences that you know for sure sometimes can happen in some serious installations. Last product is LVX P5, and you probably have seen it on our website as well. It's a tiny 5-inch, very compact passive box that comes with a single 5-inch, and the two versions are 8 ohms or 16 ohm. They are equipped with Phoenix connectors that comes in black and white, and good news is that it comes with a bracket. It's a really serious bracket. It's a pan and swivel kind of inclination, so it's a complete movement for the bracket, and this comes in the box. It comes in black or white depending on the paint, the final paint you're actually going to buy. So it's Phoenix connectors again, and that makes it very interesting for installs. I just want to run through some of the examples that we built for you guys in the attempt to get you inspired. So I hope you like them, and if not, please do not tell to Andrea, because really had a lot of fun in designing these with this new 3D thing. I don't want to use you for video, just Andrea, just telling you, don't become a video guy. But they're actually looking great. So let's think about a small club. Small club sometimes has low ceiling, not in this case. Sometimes it's not very wide. So why on earth would you use a line array, especially if you're not able to fly? Everybody knows that the ground stack line array in this kind of situation will sound really bad, especially in the near field. Even though we will have a great vertical control, it will have a terrible horizontal pattern control because they're very wide, usually 90 to 100 degrees horizontal, and that would be just the overkill for this kind of room. So having 3 of the C12s just left and right to the console, that will give you around 67, 70 degrees of horizontal pattern with great rejection outside of these borders. And also, in my opinion, they will look much better than a ground stack line array. It's going to be safer. It's going to sound better. The horns, they will be at the proper height, right on top of the 2 subwoofers. And overall, I think it's a great solution that actually outperforms line arrays in this particular case scenario. A second example that pops up in our mind is house of worships. House of worship, you have a budget issue, you have a visual issue, you maybe have a LED wall, you have a band, you do not want to see a big black box left and right, which is 4 of the 6 line arrays. And so why VOC would just cut it much better than a line array here. So I'm gonna draw a red pattern that is what I think a line array would cover. If these guys were line array, that would cover 100 degrees in horizontal. Can you see how much can you expect? A lot of bouncing off the sidewalls. And also, if you really want to cover from the last row to the very first one, you would probably need to cover something around 40 to 50 degrees, at least in the vertical axis, even more. That will take you 4 modules, 3, 4, even 5, depending on the vertical dispersion. But with just 2 of the VOCs, we solve all of these problems. So let's go one by one. The problem of the sidewall reflections with VOCs are gone. As you can see, being asymmetrical, you just have the right coverage where it belongs without having to tilt the system. If you were to move the 2 line arrays in the center and tilt them toward the center, then you will probably have some bleeding on the stage too. And on the other hand, the footprint resulting of just 2 boxes will be much less obtrusive than 4 boxes of line arrays would do. Also, on the last, as a last point, I personally think that having a 12-inch would make a whole world of a difference instead of having maybe a dual 6 or a dual 8 when it comes to live music and proper dynamics content as far as music, live music goes. So this is also something to keep in mind. One more example, and the last one for the VOC will be theaters. I know maybe it's not that popular in the US or Canada or other locations, but honestly, this kind of design is not that uncommon in Europe. Maybe think about amphitheater. Why VOC would stand out from line arrays here? I personally think that having a mono central hang right on the head of the singer, performer, or whatever it is, if it's opera, if it's orchestral, whatever it is, if I have the source coming from the very same spot of my performer, I overall think that everybody was going to have a better experience and a better panorama, a better stereo image, sorry, not stereo, of course, but a better image. So they will think that the sound is actually coming from the stage. And this is another view of 4/4 of the C12s again. Having two of them, we can use digital steering, so we can try to fine tune the aiming in order to avoid bleeding on the stage and avoid bad nasty feedbacks, especially if you have lav mics or condenser mics on the stage. But at the same time, we have a very consistent horizontal 90 degrees coverage, which is absolutely nailing it. It's exactly as wide as you need. And a line array will just maybe be too much, or it would take more boxes. So with a comparable cost of maybe 6 or 8 boxes per side of line arrays, you can get the job done with just 8 of these 12 inches boxes. So I think this is another very interesting point of view regarding VOC. So we're just trying to think outside the box. You know, I don't want to put you some left and right banal installation, but just thinking about the box, you know.